to the broadcast, and in the next 30 minutes or so, we discuss matters investments, especially for those of us who are employed. When you're salaried, in most cases, you can get comfortable with the fact that, every other month, money will be coming your way. And, you get comfortable to a point where you forget that it's important that you have some investment because, you can wake up the next day and next month you do not have a salary. So today we have a conversation revolving around that, and we have specialists who will be taking us through the same. So at least we get to understand what are some of the investments that we can take advantage of, with the little pay that we have. And, be rest assured that even if I lose my job today, I'll be able to stay afloat at least for 6 months before I get something else, or I'll be able to stay afloat, for the rest of time, simply because I have put my money somewhere else or invested my money somewhere else. So joining me for the conversation is a HR specialist, so to speak, Charles Owiti, and we also have Henry Wachira, who is from the SACCO, or a SACCO called Fortune SACCO. We all know that SACCOs nowadays are the in thing, and most of the people will tell you, you take that direction, you really have not done a mistake. So we get to understand what opportunities are in existence and how we get ourselves into that, and whether indeed the job setup is instrumental towards, exposing us to some of these, opportunities that are in existence. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really have little time, but I'm sure that we're going to be able to hack it all the same. I've had Owiti before. I've not had you, but good to have you this morning. And first things first, we are talking about people who are salaried. And at the level of being a HR, sometimes we say they are also instrumental to just take a look at the welfare of their workers. And I would want to assume, Owiti, that the welfare of the workers is not just within the office setup, but it extends all the way to home. It extends to how this person is well prepared for life out there. Then they are able to give you good results in terms of what it is that they do. So it is instrumental to have these conversations at the office setup. Do you suppose that this is done to a level of perfection, or to a level that we would want? So at least we have our people have knowledge of other investment opportunities that are out there.
Thank you, Lynn, for this program.
Yes, thank you.
I think it's a very important program.
Yes.
At this time, especially now in the middle of pandemic.
Pandemic, yes.
It's very important for people to know how they handle their finances and how they manage them and how they plan their future, investment. Coming from a background of an HR practitioner and having a background, having a platform of so many employees who are in different categories, and probably also who are struggling to establish different investments and seeing how to hustle around in making other ends meet. It's very important conversation to preach or to advocate for as an HR, so that employees get to also understand that they need to save for tomorrow. So tomorrow is always very important. That is the purpose of coming to work. Because employment is basically two things happens. You are employed, so definitely at some point you'll be exited. So you must have a plan from the beginning. When you start employment, you must have a plan, an exit plan. Because tomorrow when this job is not in, when I don't have it, what will I do?
The crisis, the pandemic comes along with lots of lessons that revolve around that. Most of the people will tell you they were sitting pretty. They say, okay, well, I'll probably start saving next year. And some of them actually had no idea whether there are these options where you can have your money, as little as it is, and you start saving. What would be your message, especially at this time of the pandemic?
Okay, thank you, Leader, for having me.
Thank you.
Let me say that it's never too late. Neither is it too early to start saving.
Yeah.
The one thing that people need to understand is that when you're employed, you start having an objective of what you want to achieve, because every single day you get nearer to your retirement age. That is, maybe when you're in private sector you do at 55, and maybe at the government you're at 60. But every single day when you report to work, you are nearing your retirement age. So you need to have that plan, even when you get employed. Even maybe when you don't have much responsibilities, maybe you want to, it's just immediately after college, and you maybe want to upgrade your academics. Maybe you want to start a family, all that depends on what the kind of objective you really have.
Yeah.
So it's never too late, it's too early. Maybe when you sometimes mostly the millennials always say that it's my time to party. Maybe
Yes.
I'll start saving when I get to 30. But that is so wrong. You need maybe when from the onset, the earlier the better.
Yeah.
So because what you need to do to understand, leader, is that there's always in savings there's always the power of compounding. So the earlier you start, the better. Yes.
All right, I'll come to you, and we again discuss that aspect of what stage of life one is and just how easy is it for them to get into this. But coming back to you, Charles, and in most cases, there's this, notion that you will not find that space within the work setup because, well, the conversation is that maybe in most cases your bosses do not want you to, go out there and shine and do the best of these things. That's why many will tell you sometimes we prefer working in government institutions, because in government institutions, really, nobody cares much about you. If you go out and prosper, well and good. But in private institutions, it's not always the case. Do you suppose then we need to have a switch or a change of tone in such conversations, or it is just a fallacy and a myth out here?
Well, it could be true, and
Yeah.
it could not be true as well. One is, like my brother said here, you must have an objective. If you're coming for employment, you must know why you're coming to be employed. What do you want to achieve by that? It does not just happen. And if you go through a robust process of recruitment, you might have been asked a lot of things around your personal life and the rest. So basically, planning your life is your responsibility. It's nobody going to nobody's responsible for what you do with your cash or what you do with the future.
Right.
What guys are told is that there is understanding of what the job look like. Like in my case, the kind of job that we do and the kind of contract that I give people, work contract, there must be no conflict of interest. If my employer is flying planes, or if my employer is manufacturing edible oil, we are trying to inform our workers that try not to do a similar business out there. Because an employer will probably say that you are sipping from this company into establishing your own. So we're just trying to tell them what the law says in terms of establishing or doing your work. We encourage guys that if we start work at 7:30, for instance, or 8, for instance, and we end up 4 or 4:30, whatever you do after work is your problem.
It's your problem. Okay.
We don't want to know about it. Whether I find you drunk in the next neighborhood, after that is your issue. Nobody will ask you about that. So long as you finish your responsibility and you do it with due diligence. We encourage employees to always look for positive areas of investing their income. We tell them to look their life differently. That when you are already employed, you have a mindset. You think you're on top of the world. You think you're accessible to loans. Like I would walk into Brother Sacco and have a security where they will listen to me and all that. I have a pay slip or something. I have a contract that shows that I'm permanent employed or I have some pension in it. Those are opportunities for you to use well. It's not for you to use them in a different way than you will regret later.
Okay.
Employees are always trained, like personally I organize training for my employees on how they handle their finances.
All right. Okay. What stages of life are you at or are you in is one thing that you raised, and I thought is very necessary. In most cases, you say yes. At around 22 all the way to 28, you get a job. You are considered as, a youth, maybe a millennial, maybe you're still at that teenage state and you get a job. In most cases, there's a lot that is ongoing at this particular point, that sometimes financial wisdom would really, get its way. And there are stages where you are there, you are probably in the office, you're unmarried, and you're still trying to plan life and see what it is that you can do. There are stages where you're now older and you're earning, and there are more responsibilities on your pocket. And in most cases, most of these groups will tell you, well, I thought when I get to the middle stage, maybe I'll have gotten enough. That's why I said, let me party and enjoy life and everything. Well, you just find that money is never enough. Sure. How then do you get to have that discipline, have this knowledge, gather as much, and with the little that you have and all the responsibilities that come along, you're able to save something or spare something?
So, leader, in this case, what happens is that when you need to have a goal. A goal is that drive that pushes your hand to achieve. So, when you wake up every single morning, you need to have the daily goal. Today, this is what I want to achieve. So when you get employed, maybe at your 25 immediately after university or college, you also have a goal. Maybe in the next 2 or so years, this is what I want to go back for my master's. Maybe I want to go now for my degree, if you had a diploma. So that is a goal. And then from there, you start working towards that goal. So at immediately after college, maybe if you are a teenager or maybe a millennial, you look more on terms of your empowerment as a person. But the problem which we have later today is when you immediately get a job, you start thinking about, you still think time is still there. The other thing, you also look at your friends. Maybe you make a comparison. Maybe what are my friends doing? Some you find that you maybe you're afraid immediately after college, they are thinking of buying a car. Maybe, and then that's not your goal. So you indulge yourself in trying to maybe borrow to get into to own such a luxurious item. But then you find that that is not the right time maybe for looking at such such an investment. So it's good always to have that clear cut plan that whatever I want to do it for my own benefit, not because of my friends they are going to verify it, or maybe because of my family, or because of anybody else. You need to look at yourself and as an individual. Then you work towards that plan.
All right.
And the way you do about it is this, Linda. It doesn't, okay, we don't say that it's bad to maybe to party or to engage in those activities that maybe they are consuming more for your income. But it's always good that you have a percentage of your money that you keep aside every single month, maybe if you are employed like some of us, so that as much as you are spending your money through other ways, like maybe paying rent, maybe transport and others, you have a percentage of like 20% that you always keep aside for that purpose, for that goal that you really want to achieve. Yes.
All right. Well, speaking of which, I'll tell you, by the time I started investing, in SACCOs, I was probably way late, I would want to say, or maybe after I stayed for a long time on employment or in employment. So then that is to mean in most cases the space welcomes amateurs, the space welcomes people who have knowledge about what's it out here at their disposal. So in the space of the or the workspace, or so to speak, Obeti, how then do we create that point of knowledge? So when you welcome these amateurs, when you welcome these young girls and boys into the job space or into your company, then there's that aspect where there is a time where they get to gather knowledge coming from the workspace that will help them, in venturing into the world of investment.
Linda, this is a whole thing. I mean, it's a whole cycle.
Yeah.
Of how employees will understand how they handle their future and their finances, and how they plan for their investments. We have a simple concept as the HR practitioners that you try to empower the employees, either joining or the existing employees, the older ones, in terms of understanding. Remember, Linda, money is a leadership issue. It doesn't matter how young or old you are, but what you do with your money talks about how you lead yourself. Leading your life is basically being disciplined. For instance, where I work in a population of about 1,600 employees, and a number of them are, quite a number of them are not very skilled. They're just general laborers. The people who earn, and I mean, they might earn what they think is what they earn is what they consume.
Right.
They don't have, in their understanding, that is not enough for them to save. But we always advocate them that they should identify themselves and at this time realize where is their life. So that therefore becomes the foundation. Where are you in life? Where are you as a family man? Where are you as a professional? So what is happening around? Are you conscious of your surrounding? Are you conscious of your needs? Is the objective very clear? Do you think you are in what you really wanted to do? Then, after letting them know that, then we also encourage them to identify where they want to become in the future, for instance. In the next 1 year, where do you want to become? We do a lot of evaluation, job evaluation, self-evaluation in terms of those aspects. So we have the matrices of mentioning that. But employees will definitely know in 1 year where I want to become, not only at the work level, but even in your personal life, even in your finances, what do you want to become? Then you challenge them and say, this is where you are, and there is where you want to become in 1 year. So what are the strategies you're going to use to make sure you're there? For instance, are you seeing yourself as a leader?
Yeah.
That are you sure, do you think you can lead your finances? Do you think you can lead your family? You can lead them out of hopelessness of poverty, hopelessness of being in a situation where you think you can only be employed? Are you focused to there we want to be? That's what you want to achieve in 1 year. Are you focused? What are the things you're focusing on? Are you mature enough to understand this, the areas, the step backs? There will be a lot of step backs along the way, but prepare them as family people, prepare them as workers. So then, because we realize if they use their finances correctly, if they behave correctly, then they will also grow the company in the right direction.
Yeah.
People who are financially mature and financially empowered are easy to understand and handle at workplace.
All right. Well, investments come along with lots of risks, so to speak, as many would argue. Or, before you get your head into it, there's always the fear of the unknown. How well are we making this space, at least sellable to the people? Because that is one thing that remains a mystery. In as much as I want to get into the circle, I have no idea what happens down there. And people are rigid and closed in this cocoon that, it is fear that dominates their world, and they do not want to hear what is out there in terms of, investment opportunities. Do you suppose that we need to lighten up this direction or this sector to ensure that people are able to buy into these ideas more?
Yes, leader, that is exactly what we have to do. And this cuts across every one of us, from us, the industry, to the government, and even to our leaders, in terms of education and empowering the people, the population. Because what happens is that mostly people are not, you might think that they don't want to do this and this. Yeah. But mostly you find that people have no knowledge that maybe when you come to Fortune Circle, this is what you need, you are bound to benefit with. So what is happening is that even in the industry, ourselves, what we do, we conduct a lot of trainings for our customers, for our members, whereby we are able to instill knowledge about financial management practices and how you can be able to use the circle subsector for your own benefit. And let me tell you, Linda, that the one thing that really pulling people down is that bit of ignorance. You think that because maybe you hear that circles, some of them are not that strong, you think that now if I put my money there, I'm risking a lot. You've had some of those circles that have come down, even banks have come down. So that doesn't mean that now you start keeping your money under the mattress. The guys that now
it's not safer.
It's not safer. So what you need to understand is that every investment comes with its own share of risks. You buy a motor vehicle today, and the next day maybe you get an accident, and so that's why you need a cover, maybe an insurance cover for that. So when you start doing your investment, always understand that this comes with its own fear of those risks. But the fact remains that you need to also to mitigate those risks. And the one way of trying to mitigate risk is through knowledge. If you are able to consume more of knowledge and to understand the basics in terms of investments, you are able to wade away from major risks. And then you can be able to get a roadmap on where you want to put your money into. Like when you come to the circle first, you need to circle movement. You need to understand what circle are you investing your money into. Yeah, not every circle is a circle. You have Shyrox, you have Buddhist briefcase circles. People own circles, as in those are individuals. But now when you come to established circles like Fortune Circle, you understand these are basically these are major circles which have a very solid background and basement that even from their foundation and even from the regulatory records, there are circles that you can put your money into. The other thing, leader, you need to understand is what is the payback from my savings or my investments that I'm able to get from where I invest my money into. Because, like for example, what we hear, just the other day banks were being regulated in terms of the money they give out as interest. So, and because that law now was repealed, and now at their liberty, the population should understand that now you have a clear roadmap now as an individual on where to put now your money. Like the circles, the reasons why people do have a preference for circles and more so established circles is because the rate of interest that circles usually give is quite high, and the rate of interest they usually charge for the loans that they advance to their members is quite low. So you find that the margin of whatever you are paying out as interest is quite low, and you are able to now to grow your business or put aside something that you can be able to be proud of even in the future.
And speaking of which, the specialist will tell you, Charles, that saving is not just taking this money and putting there. If you can put that money on an investment, you know, you grow something, you multiply the money, the better. In most cases, your employer, if you want to access loan, credit and all that, is very instrumental because, well, it is them that would give you, you know, something as simple as a letter that will probably show that, yes, you work with this, you know, institution, and I mean, they're willing to proceed and push for you to get that loan that would help you, you know, probably expand a business, open up a business or something of the sort. But again, most of the people will tell you that it becomes very difficult when it gets to that point. That on this side, the circle you're investing in, or the bank that you are in, is flexible enough to award you that. But on this side, you're finding it very difficult to access something very simple, you know, from your employer. How do we again get to that point where we can strike a balance and allow these people to grow in the sense of accessing the same?
Linda, I think we are mixing two things.
Okay.
Is your accessibility in terms of your loan ability.
Right.
If you're somebody who can access any financial, you know, thing out there, or you are somebody who's employed and want to use that platform to be able to get an investment. These are two things. If you remember you are unemployed,
right,
unemployment definitely puts you to a system where you are therefore someone who can be credited, someone who can be loaned and you can do your own things. Because the fact remains you are running, you're operating on a contract, or on a mutual agreement contract between you and an employer. In fact, this is what the circle look at. You are someone who's salaried. Your salary goes through some system, a bank or some, or a circle. You know, and therefore, some of them does not need any employer endorsement.
In most cases, they will tell you they do.
I mean,
here it is.
In that,
is it so?
It's unfortunate, but then because what they will ask you is the 3 months salary. You know, the 3 months pay slips. They will ask you of employment.
Remember, this is an individual who's a high risk to them, so they would really also want to know whether.
And most companies don't want to commit to that.
Yes, they don't want to commit. Now that is where I wanted you to come from. Yes.
I mean, it depends on the nature of the employment you are on.
Yeah.
You might be on a contract or a year or two. Or you could be someone who is not doing very well, and therefore the employer might be difficult to endorse you or to confirm you in some commitment, such commitment. And those matters a lot when we want this. But nevertheless, employees are encouraged to save their money where they think it is right.
Okay.
They are also encouraged to talk to the employer, talk to the avenues put with the employer, the systems that we put, in whatever way that they want to be assisted. For instance, if there is some kind of financial, when you want to reach to, or some financial agreement, you must have a letter from the employer confirming that you are employed, and what's the status of employment, and what is the destination that you hold there. There are those ones which they only need. What they need is those pay slips, and they need a bank statement for a couple of weeks, and they also need this, and nothing else. And you will look your guarantors. I mean, because essentially it's basically you are guaranteed. The employer is not guaranteeing you. It is your network,
your guarantors.
Yes.
Okay.
But reply to what my friend is saying. You know, one thing, and what employers need to understand, and mostly the HR, is that when you get these people, and when your employees come on board, they're your friends. As much as they're your employees, they work for you, they also need to be your friends. And in such a manner that you do not want a friend who is not doing well. So I don't see why it's so hard having an MOU maybe with a bank or a circle, whereby your employees can be able to benefit through. But just leaving them on the masses of their friends, I don't think that is so right, Linda. I think the HR practice nowadays, what they need to do, and most organizations, is try to negotiate very good rates and even terms and conditions for their employees with the banks, because when they come in as an organization, they are better heard more than when this person comes in as an individual. Because like when you come to our place, me I usually ask you, does your company have an MOU with us? So if you have an MOU with TV47, you are a better place to get that finance than that person who comes in, places the 3 pay slips on the table and tells me I need a credit to do this and this. So I'll not trust this person more than the person who have an MOU with the company.
With them, when talk of MOUs, MOUs are very, very difficult documents to understand sometimes by the employer. And it's upon us as the HR practitioners, the HR managers, to explain and take them through what these MOUs mean. You remember, Linda, the company already is working with a different financial institution. It could be a bank, it could be another, it could be a SACCO. So this is an element where this is a platform where they're putting their employees. But some employees, you will not really, push them to that line. They have the privilege of also exploring other circles. So if an employer who has 1,600 like where I am from, every other person would want to bring Stima Sacco, one wants to bring Tower Sacco, another one wants to bring Wakulima Sacco, another one wants to bring Safaricom Sacco. So you cannot have a MOU with all the Saccos. Probably we are working with one financial institution and we try to encourage them that this is where we are focusing our finances and we can help in the direction. It is very clear that HR always push for that, in that, and mostly, like where I am, we have an internal SACCO. So there will be SACCO that has established by the employees themselves. It is all structured and adhered to. So that is also working, but that does not prevent other employees from associating with other SACCO.
All right. Well, as we close this one in about 1 minute or so, where then what do we need to look out for? When you're identifying a SACCO that we will invest, with, when you're identifying a bank where you will put your money, or any kind of other investment that would be in existence, because in most cases, like we said, fear of the unknown is in existence, and sometimes we make mistakes, and we need to be careful before we get ourselves into such, because money you've earned, you've worked hard for, you really do not want it. Yeah. So,
Linda, let me say that when you're looking for a SACCO or a financial institution to invest in, you need to look at the financial muscle of that institution first. Because not any other institution you do want to put your money into. You don't want to put your money into an outfit which has just started and it has no background. It's not something that you can be able to verify. Maybe you cannot be able to look for its information online or through journals or through anywhere. Doesn't have a background. So you need to be very wary on where you put your money into in terms of the financial soundness of that institution. The other thing you also need to understand is the returns from your investment that you see from, or you invest in that institution. What we have, like in Fortune Sacco, most of our investments range from 8 to 10% of your investments. So find that if you come like in Fortune Sacco, the rates you get, they are rates which you are not even able to get in commercial banks. Because what is happening in commercial banks, they are giving you 5% and below of investments. Maybe, and when it comes to in terms of investments, in this case, I'm talking about paper investments. That is fixed deposit accounts and other investments accounts. Then, on the other hand, you also need to understand, are these people transparent? Or they always tell you they are giving you 5 or 7%, and then at the end of the day, they'll come back with a lot of other charges to eat on you that already got an income. So you need to do a bit of background check.
Yes, very important. This is a conversation we cannot finish right now. I know there's so much that is within. We've not even gotten into understanding what are some of the investments that are in existence, that are from the government, that employers, employees should take advantage of. But again, from that note, I am sure we've picked something that will be helpful on that note. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Time is not so much on our side. We close it at that point. Charles Owiti, who's a HR, and we also had Henry Wachira, Fortune Sacco. Thank you so much for the insights. We close it at that, and we get to see you again later in the afternoon as we take a look at the news stories of the day. My name is Linda Alela. Bye-bye.